This is the Master Grade Guncannon, and it was released in 2001. Of course, this kit needs a 2.0. However, instead of harping on Bandai for not releasing one, I want to talk about how impressive this kit is for 2001. This has no screws, which for the time is extremely impressive, and it was honestly a pretty fun and relaxing build. It does nub a little bit, but honestly, you can just get your files out and you can do a pretty good job at taking those nubs down. Overall, this kit is extremely impressive, so let's take a look at it. Welcome to the UVerhookus channel. My name is Grant. Let's get right into the review. So right here we have the Master Grade Guncannon. This kit released in 2001. This kit is over 2 decades old and was around, I believe, $35-ish. I found this guy for around 25, so it's a pretty good price. This kit looks exactly like how it does in the anime. That is its biggest pro. It is a 1.0 kit. It has no screws in the build, by the way. So this is just a completely plastic snap fit only build. No glue required. The only modification I did was put some silver Sharpie on that gray part there to make the visor shine a little bit more. But besides that, that is it. There's a lot of pros to the kit. It's actually extremely simple build. So that's pretty nice if you like simple builds. I don't really like the most complicated master grades. This one was a little bit too simple though, and the inner frame is actually pretty detailed. I mean, it's definitely there to be customized and for you to panel line it. The legs have a really solid inner frame. Every single part about this kit has an inner frame, and it also has a core fighter block, which is extremely cool, and even that is just so detailed. This kit is extremely impressive. This is based off the one that was in the G Gundam show, so the original Gundam. Overall, this kit is just pretty impressive for the time. I really don't have anything to say. Of course, this kit would benefit from a revive. However, I don't think you'll be the most disappointed if you pick up this kit. Let's get into the articulation. All right, so the articulation, the head is on a ball joint, and also it has a hinge right there for some really nice up movements. You can get a lot of good up movement. The shoulders are on a ball joint as well, or a universal hinge, and these armor plates do actually move with the shoulder articulation. That is super duper cool. It does have a bicep cut and a pretty abysmal arm articulation. I think that's a little below 90 degrees. Not the greatest at all. The hands are on ball joints, and they are the old Master style of hands, so they do have the ball jointed thumb and then a movable trigger finger. The trigger finger move, and then these 3 fingers are all connected. I don't necessarily mind this kind of hand articulation. However, whenever we get to the gun it comes with, it will be a little bit loose in there. The torso is limited because of the core block, but the gimmick is pretty cool, so I can forgive it. The hip skirts can move up and out of the way, except for this side one, it cannot move the best. So you do not get that much out with the legs, but you do get a pretty good up, and honestly, an even more impressive back. That is really good back leg articulation. I am pretty impressed. So moving that all down, the knee articulation is pretty good with some armor parts moving out, and the feet have a pivot that way, a pivot side to side, and some up and down movement. So overall, pretty decent articulation. Not anything to, die over or rave about, but it does do its job, which is pretty nice. Now let's get on to the accessories. The suit also does have an opening cockpit with some nice gray detail in there. Just wanted to mention that before I forget. This is everything that the Master Grade Guncannon comes with, and it's quite a lot. First off, before I forget, it does come with these cool little grenades. I have not really messed around with these that much, but we're just going to take off a hand. And yeah, it can kind of hold its way in there. These will just stay in the Guncannon. It does have storage on the sides of the legs. You just, let's get the camera to focus, open up this flap, slide it in there, and then you just close it, and it fits its way in there pretty nicely. Next up, we have these nice posable open hands. These are pretty nice. They do have a hinge in them that can go only up. so I can get that crawling pose from the show. I will only be using this one to show, and you pretty much just put that piece on there. This is the cover, and then you just slide it in there like the ball joint. Boom, just like that, and now it has the open hand. It comes with both, however, I'm only going to put this one in. Next up is the beam rifle. The beam rifle is pretty nice. It does have the clear lens instead of the yellow part. That's fine with me. I don't really mind a whole lot. It's overall pretty just standard. It's a standard beam rifle, and you put it into the hands. I prefer just to kind of try and move the thumb out of the way as best as you can, and then form those 4 fingers around it, and then move the thumb up for that nice support, and then get everything kind of just nice and snug in there. And it does rattle quite a bit, but this gun in specific does not really fall out. It does stay in there quite nicely, and it is pretty good for some of those under the armpits nice poses. So that's a pretty solid beam rifle. Next up, we'll be taking a look at the backpack. The backpack is honestly pretty standard, not a whole lot of detail. You do have some vents, and you do have 3 holes. 2 of the holes are for these super duper cool ammo belts that are flexible in there. That's really, really cool. I really did enjoy that. You really don't even see the ammo belts that much, but it's just really nice that there's just a lot of nice detail inside the mobile suit for that nice inner frame. So you kind of just peg it in. There is a poly cap in there, and you just kind of squeeze it in. You just kind of click it in there. Those flexible parts will move out of the way to get there nice and snug. They're not going to snap or anything. They'll just kind of bend inwards. So that's pretty nice. And the backpack does really help with that. Kind of gives it a little bit more presence to it. The backpack's pretty nice. So now we have the cannons. We have the standard cannons. These 2 are the exact same. You build them both at a time. Then we have the spray missile version, which has a left and right side. I have no idea where these came from, but they are pretty cool. I do like them a lot. I'm just going to be putting 1 on each side, and they connect onto these ball joints on these shoulders, and there is a poly cap in there. So you kind of just push it on until it fits in there decently. And look what I was doing. The poly cap is pretty small, but once you get in there, you do have some pretty good range on that. And then using the other one, you just do the exact same thing. And so you got both in there. This one is definitely a little bit bigger, and I do prefer the standard Guncannon. However, this is definitely a cool alternative that this model kit does come with. Next up, we have the Core Fighter. The Core Fighter is pretty cool. It does come with landing gear. However, this one will just sit in my master grade accessory bag for the rest of its life, so I'm not too worried about keeping that around. But it does form into the block. You just kind of fold that down, and then everything just kind of fits in there. I did have a lot of trouble getting the fin and this blue piece sticking in. I did have to use a little bit of blue tack, not the biggest deal in the world, but you kind of just push this down and then push the wings in. Then you do have your core block, and then you have this completely gray one that's a little bit more stable. I'll be using this one, but having both of them is extremely nice. This one, once again, has a lot of nice molded detail with a pilot in the center of it. And then you just kind of fit it in just like that. Each one of these has poly caps, which is pretty nice. And then once you have it in there, the inside is pretty hollow. So you just kind of, ooh, it's a little tight. There we go. Fit it in there, you hear the click. And now you have whichever core block you want inside the mobile suit. Now it's time for the comparisons. Starting off with comparisons, we have the high-grade Guncannon Revive. These 2 look pretty much exactly similar in design, and the only difference is the size. This one did not come with those cool missile spray ones, but they're pretty much just the same thing except the scale. The next one I'm going to compare it to is the Guncannon Doan's Guncannon. I really want to see a massacre of this version. I really like the much added detail in the back for the big guns. I think that just adds a lot more to it. It makes it look just a lot more bulkier. I really do want to see a revive, or not a revive, a master grade of this one. That would be extremely cool. Now we have the Guncannon next to the Gym 2.0. The Guncannon did include dry transfers, however, they were pretty bad. All the letters just kept pulling off at different spots. It was really hard to get any of the dry decals on there. The Guncannon's kind of short, not gonna lie. This kid is bending its legs and this kid's standing up straight, and the Jim still is a little bit taller. So the Guncannon might be a little small in your collection. Next up, we have the Master Grade 3.0 RX-78. Once again, the Guncannon is a little bit small, and the RX-78 3.0 is very detailed. It would probably fit in a lot better with the RX-78 2.0 Master Grade. The 3.0 is just extremely detailed. I don't think it fits in with any of the UC suits that have 2.0 Master Grades. And then, of course, we have the high grade Origin Gundam. For some general comparisons, here we have it to a Lego minifigure. A standard 6-inch action figure, here we have the 501st Phase 1 Clone Trooper. A Voyager-sized Transformer, we have Bumblebee Movie Shockwave. And then a Sharpie. This kit is extremely impressive for its time. I mean, it has a pretty solid inner frame with a lot of detail inside of it, a bunch of accessories, and pretty alright articulation. However, I can't 100% recommend this kit because it wouldn't really fit in with any Master Grade, probably after 2009. So, unless you really like the Guncannon and don't really mind it not fitting with your more modern Master Grades, then this kit is a pretty solid buy. Thank you all for watching today's video. I hope you have a good rest of your day.